Hello, my name is Sudhir. I am recording another video of Sicilian Defense Alapin variation. This is another example from one of my own online games. I'm playing black. White started off with the e4 and I respond with the Sicilian Defense c5. Black plays the immediate c3 because they want to go d4 next and build a strong center and play the main Alapin variation. So I responded with g6 because I want to put up my bishop on g7 and play along this long diagonal. White plays d4. It's just following up with its main plan. C takes d, c takes d. At this position, it looks very beautiful. Optically, it's good for white. It has two central pawns, and black has only g6. And it looks like white has huge spatial advantage and central control. Black responds immediately with the d5 because we don't want to give the entire center to white, so we want either white to play e takes d or e5. If they play e5, they'll be weakening their d4 square. Notice that they don't have pawn anymore on the c3 and e3 to support the d4 pawn, and our main theme is to attack this weakened d4 pawn. And in many variations we also attack the e3 square if they put up their pawn here. White takes. They want to play more open game rather than pushing e5. Black simply plays knight f6, attacking the d5 pawn, also preparing castle and development on the king side. Now white makes this somewhat annoying move for black. Bishop e5 check. So knight cannot be placed on c6 because of the pawn on d5. So either bishop can be placed on d7 or knight can be placed on d7. If you play the bishop and there is no good square for knight, okay, so if trade happens, bishop trade happens, then black can move its knight to d7 and somehow develop its pieces. White goes back. They don't want to trade. They put their bishop nicely on c4, and eventually they want to move their pawn from d5 to d6 and open up this typical bishop attacking diagonal in the Sicilian defense and in many other openings. Black somehow has to solve its queen side and central problems. They have to get back their pawn. So a6, natural. It's stopping white from putting its bishop or knight on b5. So white continues with knight c3, b5. White has to move its bishop. Bishop b3 seems quite natural, and now there's a good chance to play b4. So typically in many variations white plays a3 so that they can put their bishop on a2 and also prevent this b4 move. In this game white didn't do that, so take advantage of it. So simply b4, it's forcing the knight to move, and we also get this nice b5 square for our bishop. Once the bishop is moved, black can also develop its queenside knight and solve all its opening problems. White played knight a4. Black continues with bishop g7. Now it's ready to castle. White unusually plays this knight c5 They probably are thinking that there's a nice hook with the d4 pawn, and they want to trade bishop for the knight, but they forgot that bishop can now easily jump onto b5. So that's what we do. Bishop b5, pretty cool diagonal. We also put some pressure on their king side, and white has to solve some of these diagonal problems now. White has also now allowed the b knight to jump onto d7. Black has almost solved all its opening problems now. Queen f3. So white is thinking d6 could open up this nice discovered attack on the rook, but we don't have to worry anything. We just castle. If they move d6, we can simply move our knight and protect our rook, and if they take on e7, it's fine. We play nicely on this open e file and semi-open d file. I think black will have a very good advantage here. So now white plays bishop e3. They somehow want to, probably looking to castle on the queen side, because black has placed this bishop on b5, which is playing nicely on this diagonal and preventing white to castle on the king side. So natural development move for black, last of its opening problems. White plays a4. Now they're feeling that this bishop is annoying, but we don't have to worry. Just do en passant. B takes a3, and now our bishop stands tall on this diagonal, unchallenged. Rook takes a3. Okay, so we play knight b6. Now we're ready to take this d5 pawn. This is attacked thrice, 3 times, from the b knight, from the f knight, and from the queen. And while this pawn is supported twice from white, queen on f3, bishop on b3. Knight e2. So white wants to castle, and this knight temporarily blocks this diagonal. Good for black. We just take the pawn. We're just waiting to take it from a long time. So now that we have solved our opening problem, knight b2, d5. White castles. Just take this bishop. Bishop is somewhat better than knight, and this also poses some pawn structure problems for white. If white takes from the f pawn, their pawns get somewhat disconnected. If they take from queen, that's still okay, no problem for us, but white took from pawn. F takes e3. White is probably thinking they have a strong attack on this f7 pawn, so their typical opening strategy of placing this bishop on f4 and b3, and in some lines a2. Anyway, so the bishop has a good diagonal, attacking diagonal for white, and they have doubled battery, queen and rook, all looking at f7 square. All they have to do is somehow eliminate the knight, and they'll have a beautiful attacking game here on f7. So black stops these kinds of attacks, cutting off this diagonal from the bishop. So white switches its strategies. Rook f to a1, and now they are thinking this a6 pawn is weak. They could simply take from the knight. It's attacked thrice, one from the knight and 2 from the rooks, but only defended twice from the bishop and rook. Good move, good thinking. So black doesn't care too much about the a6 pawn, because black has realized we have to give up anyway. So while black continues with its own pawn, one of the central themes in Sicilian Alapin is attacking the d4 square and the e3 square, especially if white has a backward pawn on e3, meaning this pawn is not supported by f3 pawn or f2 pawn or d2 pawn. So we just attack it. We bring our bishop also on this diagonal, and maybe even queen and some other pieces all attacking the square. So we just give up a6 and we put our focus on e3. Knight c3, they probably want to trade off the knight and have a good attacking game on the queen side. The knight also attacks the bishop on b5. So what could black do now? Continue to attack on the e3 square, but first we must eliminate this annoying knight on c3, because it will take bishop on b5, and we can't take from the pawn because of the discovered attack on the rook. So we just take that knight out, and now black plays bishop g5, putting some pressure on the e3 pawn. Now if the queen moves away, we definitely want to grab this pawn on e3. So looks like there is a menacing attack from white now. Nowhere to go for the bishop. If the bishop moves, white is going to take a3, and it looks like the passed pawn on the c file is going to promote and cause a lot of problems for black. So think about the solution and strategy for black in this position. Pause the video, come back after a minute or two, write in the comments what you think about this position, how black should approach it. Black plays bishop c6. What a great escape for the bishop. It looks like the bishop is undefended, and white can simply take it for nothing. And black's idea is to put pressure on the g2 square. So if the queen moves away, black can attack both from the queen and bishop, the g2 square. So white can't let that happen, and they don't want to give up a free bishop, so they just take it, and black is not worried. Simply queen takes e3 with a check, and black has reached an important point in this game. You could say an inflection point, because we have succeeded in attacking e3 square, and we're also attacking the d4 square, and we are playing beautifully on the dark squares, the combination of dark square bishop and the queen on dark squares. So white has put all of its pieces, queen, knight, bishop and two rooks and pawn on the queen side, and now black is suddenly playing in the center and on the queen side attacking white's king. White has to respond to the check, so they play king h1. Now bishop takes d4. What a beautiful double attack. There's a queen bishop battery attacking the knight on c4, so knight on c5, as well as the rook on a1. And if the rook leaves the first rank, there's a threat check on queen to g1 checkmate. It looks like position is promising, so black can gain back its free bishop which we gave it on c6 earlier, and take advantage of the center and the king side. Now white played knight takes a3, what else could they do? They decided to give away the rook on a1. So black takes rook on a1. Now white realize they cannot take the bishop on a1, because if they do, bishop on b3 is hanging. We simply take it. Black has a clear material advantage. The knight is attacked. King is somewhat unsafe. The pawn down. At this point, my opponent resigned. So thank you for watching this video of Sicilian Alapin. So I'll be posting some more videos to demonstrate how black can counter white's Alapin opening, attack the pawns on d4 and e3, and have a good game attacking the center and the king side.